The goal of our TV show was to illustrate the management concepts and topics we learned throughout the course. Our target audience is the young, innovative, and creative workforce. In an attempt to stimulate our target audience's interests, we portrayed our target management concept using humor and popular movie characters to capture their attention. We also attempted to set up our TV show in business process chronological order, meaning that we tried to set it up in a way a new company would be formed and run. The target management concepts we want to illustrate in our TV show are globalization, managing a multicultural team, strategic implementation, managerial ethics, market entry strategies, communication, overcoming cultural barriers, operations management, and strategic management.
Recently, a new planet, Planet Ari, was discovered. Sustain Life Co.'s CEO, Susie Sustain, decided that the company should go interplanetary and establish a location on the New World in order to provide the inhabitants of Planet Ari with medical tools and equipment that would help them live a healthier and more sustainable lifestyle. Sustain Life Co. is a company that specializes in making medical and health products and equipment in the United States. The company has been involved in several globalization efforts and has various locations across the nation as well as in other countries. In our story, Sustain Life Co. is taking a region-country focus, or in this case region-planet, and establishing a new, wholly owned subsidiary on Planet Ari. To ensure that their greenfield venture is successful, Sustain Life Co. is building their own facilities, establishing relationships with suppliers, building distribution networks on the planet, and fostering a positive relationship with potential customers. The manager is faced with the task of formulating and implementing a strategic management plan and developing a global mindset in order to successfully manage his multicultural team. Susie appointed recent graduate Caesar to be the regional manager for Sustain Life Co.'s Planet Ari unit, and recruited Mr. Fox, who created the chemical that allowed the team to be able to breathe Planet Ari's air, Olaf, Bob, and Arwen to join the company and help its globalization efforts. All team members get along well and are able to coordinate and cooperate despite their many differences, thanks to their harmonious personalities and Caesar's cultural intelligence and global mindset. Because the team is so culturally diverse, they are very creative and have a competitive advantage. There are 5 main characters in our TV show, beginning with Caesar. Caesar is the newly appointed regional manager for Sustain Life Co. Caesar earned his bachelor's degree in management from University of South Florida, St. Pete. He is a young, innovative, and enthusiastic individual that is eager to apply everything he learned about management to his new position. Next is Mr. Lucius Fox. Mr. Fox is responsible for building the distribution networks. He was hired by top management because of his intelligence and creative ability to invent high-tech vehicles. Mr. Fox has a very calm demeanor and is very respected by all other team members. However, Mr. Fox is a perfectionist and has a very demanding expectation and a tendency to be a bit critical. Next we have Bob the Builder. Bob is responsible for building the firm's facilities. Bob is a building contractor. He is a very positive and dedicated worker that gets along well with all of his team members. Although Bob is a hard worker, he is a short-term thinker and sometimes is unable to see the big picture, preferring to make quick, short-term repairs rather than the necessary long-term ones. Now we have Olaf. Olaf is responsible for fostering a positive relationship with potential customers. His warm hugs make him the perfect snowman for the job. Olaf is funny, and the other members find his goofiness endearing. Although Olaf is charming and creative, he can be a bit absent-minded at times and very clumsy and childish. Finally, there's Arwen. Arwen is responsible for establishing peaceful and long-lasting relationships with suppliers. She was chosen by top management for this position because of her powerful connections and for being able to unite races and bloodlines. She is an empathetic elf, but she has trouble with time management.
In this episode, we discussed the management topic of international market entry strategies and demonstrated the management concepts of exporting, licensing, creating strategic alliances, acquisitions, and establishing new, wholly owned subsidiaries. We decided that a topic regarding international management and globalization would be very appropriate to illustrate in our TV show because our company, Sustain Life Co., and team would be conducting business on another planet. Companies are interested in international markets for several reasons. In our story, Sustain Life Co.'s motivation for wanting to conduct business in another planet is to provide the inhabitants of Planet Ari with the X-Railian, a medical tool the team came up with to help the people of Planet Ari live healthier and more sustainable lives. In the previous episode, the team decided what product they wanted to sell. In this episode, they discussed how they want to enter this interplanetary market. We demonstrated the management concepts by having our main characters discuss the different international market entry strategies, as well as the pros and cons of each strategy and the ways to manage international operations. For example, we demonstrated a strategic alliance, which is a cooperative arrangement between two firms in which they agree to share resources to accomplish a mutually desirable goal by having our characters Olaf and Arwen suggest that the company create a strategic alliance with another company that shares their goals. We demonstrated one of the pros of a strategic alliance by having Olaf and Arwen support their idea by claiming that creating a strategic alliance would allow Sustain Life Co. to share resources with the other company. We demonstrated one of the cons of a strategic alliance by having Mr. Fox quickly dismiss Olaf and Arwen's idea because he believes it is too risky. Continuing the topic of risk, Mr. Fox instead suggests a different market entry strategy, exporting, because it has low risk and will save the company money. We continue to discuss the other market entry strategies of acquisition and licensing. Arwen quickly dismisses the possibility of a cross-border acquisition, which is the acquisition of local firms by foreign firms to enter a new international market, because the premiums that the team would be required to pay would have made it much of a negative approach for the team. They also wanted to maintain their company name and image when selling these products. We demonstrated the risk associated of licensing by having Bob also quickly dismiss the idea of licensing. Bob explains that the costs outweigh the benefits for Sustain Life Co. and would leave the company with very little control. Not only would there be little return, but contracts would be difficult to enforce. We demonstrated the final market entry strategy, establishing a new wholly owned subsidiary, by having Mr. Fox change his mind about exporting after he hears about the cons of licensing and cross-border acquisitions. Mr. Fox proposes a greenfield venture, which is a term often used for a direct investment to establish a business in a foreign market in which the local firm owns and controls 100% of the business. Everyone agrees with Mr. Fox's proposal because they agree that having full control would be the best solution for their intended business venture, and Sustain Life Co. They decide to move forward with the greenfield venture. In this episode, we discussed the management topic of communication and demonstrated the management concepts of the means and media of communication, media richness, directions of communication within organizations, channels of communication within organizations, and cultural distance. We decided to illustrate the management topic of communication, which is the process of transferring information, meaning, and understanding from sender to receiver in our TV show, because being able to communicate proficiently is essential for a manager that wants to exercise leadership. Also, effective communication can be key to the ability of a business to function smoothly. In this episode, the team finds that communicating and building trust is more difficult than they had originally planned for. The team discusses ways to improve their communication skills and the means of communication they want to use with their potential customers, as well as within their organization. One of the management concepts we covered in this episode is media of communication. which is how information is transmitted from sender to receiver. The media that can be used in organizations ranges from lean media, which is impersonal and indirect, to rich media, which is personal and direct. Media can be classified as rich or lean based on their capacity to facilitate shared meanings. In this episode, we discuss the management concept of channels of communication within organizations. We specifically illustrate the formal communication channel, which is a communication route authorized, planned, and regulated by the organization and directly connected to its official structure. Related to the formal communication channel is directions of communication within organizations, which includes downward, upward, and lateral communication. We combine and demonstrate these concepts by having the team select Mr. Fox and Arwen to be members of the formal communication channel so that they may communicate information to the levels above and below them and back and forth to adjacent units. Caesar assigns Arwen and Mr. Fox to a specific direction of communication. He assigns Arwen to upward communication, which is messages sent from lower organizational levels to higher organizational levels. He selects Mr. Fox for downward communication, which is messages sent from higher organizational levels to lower organizational levels. He also gives them both the shared responsibility of lateral communication, which is messages sent across essentially equivalent levels of an organization. Then Arwen and Mr. Fox each individually decide the richness of media they wish to use when communicating information. In this episode, we also discuss the management concept of cultural distance, which is the overall difference between two cultures' basic characteristics. We demonstrate this concept when the team discusses the possible reasons for the lack of effective communication with the citizens of Planet Ari. We were all surprised to learn how much of an interdisciplinary and vast subject management is. While reading the chapters and watching the lecture videos, we each came across concepts and topics that we learned about in previous classes, including accounting, marketing, psychology, and others. We were also surprised with some of the material we read and how it related to management and our everyday lives. Management involves a series of activities and operations such as planning, deciding, and evaluating. Activities that we must all encounter when deciding how to carry out our lives and make decisions. Management also involves acting in a goal-directed manner to accomplish tasks. Managing our lives is what gives us purpose and direction and is what allows us to achieve our desired results. We were also astounded and bewildered to read about the seemingly infinite responsibilities of a manager. Many of us were already aware that managers have the function of planning, organizing, directing, and controlling, but our understanding of a manager's roles was expanded when we learned about Mintzberg's typology of managerial roles. After reading about these 10 different roles that managers were responsible for and expected of, we all gained a much deeper respect for managers and the managerial job. Overall, we all agree that management is a very integrated field and one of the most essential functions in an organization and in people's everyday lives.
The biggest thing I learned in this course was teamwork. Beyond that, it highlighted that with a wonderful team in place, a project can really blossom into its full potential. I was incredibly lucky to have a team like that on this project. Management can be a lonely place if you make it that way. However, a thing I learned from this class, which I then applied to my current job, is that communication and understanding can go incredibly far. Because this course was such a unique way of teaching as opposed to the standard read and test style of teaching, I was able to have a strong grasp of the concepts we learned in our book. I sincerely recommend this class to anybody interested in learning about management and truly wish the best to anybody who takes this course. It was a lot of fun and I would take it over and over again. Thank you.
The project helped me learn in great detail about the different management concepts. Not only did it help me see each one in the business world, but it showed me that each concept is all around us every day. Through working together as a team, I think we used almost each concept in completing the project itself.
I learned a lot regarding the vast subject of management from the textbook and the lecture videos. The group project helped reinforce and strengthen the concept I read in the book and in the lecture videos. It allowed my team members and I to creatively come up with scenarios in which these management concepts and topics would apply. We were then able to act out this scenario in a way that we believed an effective manager or employee should. The group project added the real-world touch to this course. The group project also taught me how to work effectively and efficiently in a group setting, both in person and virtually.
Hi, my name is Amanda Wright, and I'm 23 years old. I'm born and raised St. Petersburg, Florida. I enjoy watching sports, being active, and enjoying the company of others. I am outgoing and a people pleaser. I love to take care of others and have a 1-year-old puppy and a 2-year-old kitty that are in my world. In our management class, I really enjoyed getting to know all of the people in my group and really like the group projects that we have been given. It really makes the class enjoyable when you get to do it with other people and not everything by yourself. I find I get a little bit more out of it than a normal class I would. Yeah, that's it.
We highly recommend reading, or at least skimming ahead, in order to know in advance what target management concepts you want to cover in your TV show. This way, you will be prepared when it comes time to writing the scripts and recording your episodes. We also recommend completing the design challenges. If your group cannot meet together to execute the design challenges, make sure you do not procrastinate on your project. The project is divided into manageable pieces, but if you fall behind on the assignments, the amount of work can be overwhelming. Don't be afraid to reach out to Professor Diazio with any questions or concerns you may have. He is very quick to respond to emails, and even if you are in the online class, he is willing to meet in person to discuss your questions and concerns. But most importantly, have fun and be creative with your project. Don't be boring and mediocre. The more fun you make it, the less it will feel like an assignment, and the easier and more enjoyable it will make the semester for you. This project is not like an ordinary paper or presentation, so don't treat it like one.